Amplify Daily number 62, building your brand narratives social media tree. Of the areas that people don't understand in their business, not knowing who your customer avatar is and who you're speaking to at all times probably costs you the most. So I want to walk y'all through my process for really it's just an extension of understanding who your customer avatar is. But beyond that, it is knowing exactly what the core topics are that you want to be known for talking about. And I say your social media brand narrative street, but this is really just your brand narrative street. Period. This extends to the articles that you write. This extends to the stuff that you talk about when you're on stage and when you're invited on podcasts, whatever it might be. This is the core stuff that you want to be known for as a career identity. And this goes for you. This goes for your company. But it starts by defining it on paper. And then once you define it, then you can really see how to pull out those sub niches, those subcategories that you're going to talk about, how you talk about them, what your strategy is, what types of posts. So I'm just going to walk you through my format. I'm going to show you across my personal brand and across my financial education company. And hopefully that will help you to define yours if you haven't done so already. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm gonna walk y'all through my structure. I call it my brand narratives tree. This is kind of a working structure that it's evolving. It is kind of has a life of its own. This is just the evolution of me having for worked for many years now, trying to clarify this, work with a lot of people, hired a lot of people, and I've just not gotten what I wanted. And this is kind of where I've landed. All right. So this may change next week. Who knows? But this is what it is today. It's 5 core pieces when I'm thinking about my social media stuff. And again, this translates over to your brand as a whole. But number one, I'm looking at what is the primary niche. And by primary niche, I mean the core category that we are going to choose to focus on establishing our platform on and around. This is what we intend to be widely known for. It's our career identity, whether it's a personal brand or a business brand. Number two, what are our content pillars? And, these are the core defining narratives and topics that we're going to focus on inside of our niche. Number three, what's the content type? This is selecting a specific intention that we have for the experience we desire for a post to create for somebody who engages with that piece of content. And I'm going to give y'all examples for each of these. Number four, content focus. Define the strategic approach for what kind of subject matter to cover in each individual post based on the content type. And what I've seen is that using multi-part series on as many of your posts as possible, like this is all about storytelling, story, and nothing better than like a multi-part series to tell a story when it's applicable. Number five is your content format, defining the technical feature set that we're going to use on social media, depending on each platform, to make the actual post based on content focus and content type. And what I should add here is this is the point where I've realized for me where to bring in a social media manager. And the challenge is I've been trying to have for several years now, I've been trying to bring in social media managers to help to do this, to help to do this, to help to do this, to help to do this. And number one, I didn't have the language for these things. I didn't know how to articulate like these structures. I didn't have a framework, and they didn't either. And number two, they just couldn't actually do this work. I'm not going to say that none can. I certainly haven't found one who can yet. And that's not a dig on any social media managers at all. It's just what I've realized is that the greater majority of social media managers when it comes down to this, the content format, they are great with the strategy specific to, all right, we're going to post stuff. Here's the best way that we post stuff to keep it engaging, etc. But all the stuff up here about what we ought to be posting, why we're posting that, why this one instead of that one, in terms of our big brand focus, they just haven't been experts at that. Even if they say they are, my experience is they mostly have not been. And again, that is not any sort of dig. It's just me getting clear on the things that I need and what's going to be the best way to solve those challenges. All right, so let me walk you now for content type, content focus, and content format. There's a little bit more specific definition here. So under content type, again, this is selecting a specific intention that we have for the experience we want for a post to create for somebody who engages with that piece of content. And for me, these are the different buckets that I found that like comprehensively all of my content fits into one of these buckets so far. Now I might find other buckets. The way that this is created has been formed is I had 5 or 6 and then a new post that I want to make came up and I'm like, that doesn't fit in any of these categories. What would it be? And so this is now a pretty comprehensive structure. I haven't found a post yet in recently that hasn't fit into one of these categories. And basically, this gives my brain a holding mechanism for like the framework for how to think of what kind of post is this? Why would I make it? What's the intent here? So establish credibility. That's like put me at ease. If I'm trying to establish authority, what's the person, what's the narrative over there? The narrative is like impress me. Edutainment. The narrative is teach me. And you better believe everything that is on social media now, it's not just really education, it's really edutainment. And this took me a while to accept because I don't want to do a bunch of entertaining, but once I really thought about it, and this came when I got serious about hiring video editors that are really good. There's no reason that I can't take any particular video that I am talking about a concept, and when I hand it over to my video editor inside of my 1 minute expert format, they're able to take it and add some animation, add some jump cuts, add some b-roll to the background. Like it's not so much that you got to be a clown on social media, and that's what I really related it to is I got to be doing some gimmicky thing. No, you just have to like give your content, and I won't say have to. It makes a difference when you take the content, your educational content, and add just a little bit of stuff to it. A little bit of editing actually makes that much more entertaining, and that's the edutainment. Creating evidence slash social proof. Narrative there's prove it. Step by step trainings. The narrative is show me. Promote and offer. The narrative is invite me. Foundational brand stories. The narrative is connect with me. Market research, gathering information. The narrative is ask me. Rants and insights, things that I just like, some pops in my head and I'm like, how come people just like act like money is magical? Money is not, that's a narrative. That's like a rant, like, an insight I would have and just want to share something. This is the narrative here is like, challenge me, have me think differently. Family and lifestyle. The narrative is invite me into your life. And inspiration, it's pretty simple. The narrative is inspire me. So under content focus, this is inside of each one of those different content types. I found that there's some like contextually, there's some different focuses that we might have on the actual subject matter to cover in each post that just make the most sense. And this is where I struggle for a long time is like having an organized way to approach. I got all of this information that I want to share, all these experiences I want to share across a broad variety of life and topics. And I just like it gets overwhelming. How do I share it in an organized way? Not to just be putting some stuff up, but to be moving toward an actual defined outcome. Like I want to be sharing toward an outcome. I want to be moving people toward a direction. And I just didn't have any clear direction for how to do that. and hadn't been able to find a social media manager to help me do that. And still, to this day, this structure that I've created kind of for myself after lots and lots of trial and error, this has been the closest that I've gotten. And I'll show you the result of it. For me, it's been amazing. But under establishing credibility, if I'm trying to establish credibility, there's some, and I should also say here, I've seen bits and pieces of this in like various things. I've not seen a comprehensive approach to being able to step by step, a framework for taking all of my stuff and organizing it in a way where I can see what to post, when to post it, and like the narratives, the core structure for everything, and it live in an organized fashion. So under establishing credibility, got some new faces here kind of post, and that might come every month or so. Some new people follow me. Let me tell y'all what I do again. Snippets from speaking engagements are great for establishing credibility. Establishing authority, a post around meeting the team or a featured team member, a quote from an article written by one of the company founder members, tips, did you know type of content about common industry misconceptions. And here, snippets from speaking engagements also is a good place. So it doesn't mean that things can't live across multiple categories. Speaking engagements, good for establishing credibility, distinct from establishing authority. For edutainment, the different types of things, full shorts, micro shorts, quotables, memes, jokes. This is my specific framework. I think I've talked to y'all about full shorts, micro shorts, quotables. I'll probably have to do a different article about that at some point. This is inside of my 1 minute expert framework for being able to produce 50 plus pieces of social media content weekly inside of just shooting 10 60-second videos. So that's basically 10 minutes of work, get you 50 pieces of social media content inside of my structure for handing off a very particular way of editing to my video editor. And it's been working really well so far. Content under edutainment. And this is like for my personal brand. I just gave an example here. My Amplify daily videos are actually, things that can be chopped up and edited, and that becomes like an edutainment type post. I've got these big loss, big lesson, 60-second interviews that I do with people in the masterminds that I'm in, that create some really great life lessons, client interviews with my existing clients and past clients. My unscripted interviews with a guy named John Guyton that I do. He's got a studio in Houston. And then there's some scripted interviews that I've done with John where we're covering very particular things, and I'm looking into a teleprompter and I'm reading those things. For the unscripted interviews, you can look on my social media channel at Thomas KR Stovall on Instagram. And a lot of I won't say a lot. There's like 3 weeks of my unscripted interviews that are showing now, and I'll give y'all a snapshot of what it looks like. And these are doing really, really well. I'm literally, it's just literally one of these that goes up a day on Socialist. They're all shorts, so less than 60 seconds. These are the real format on Instagram. And literally, y'all can see I started this account, on January 1st of this year, and I'm barely promoting it at all. There's now 178 followers. I'm not doing like follow for follow. I'm not following anybody for the most part, and literally just one post per day that goes up, and y'all can see the amounts of reach that these things are getting. I have literally 178 followers, and I'm not doing active promotion. This is just getting outside of my network. It's just consistency. It's one post per day. This is like high quality storytelling, solid content. I'm getting, thousands of views on these things. So, but yeah, back to this here. Client coaching sessions, amplify audits. These are when I take 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, however long, and I've got sessions where I will literally review somebody's marketing and sales structures in real time and just chop it up, offer recommendations. This is an amplify audit. I record these. It's really great content. Dedicated 60-second recording specifically for shorts and quotables. I talked about that up there. Masterclass interviews. So I've got 10 to 15 minute interviews with different experts we brought into Mindset to Money for masterclasses. And also for my own masterclass around 24-hour course launch, I've got an interview for that. That's solid content. I haven't shared much of it. That'll be going out on social. Podcast episodes, snippets from speaking engagements, excuse me, and also dedicated B-roll videos from various aspects of life, getting into, into Uber Blacks, walking into Soho House or whatever kind of, cool establishment, taxing down the runway, various little B-roll moments that you catch. So all of this is just different kinds of edutainment content. For creating evidence or social proof, case studies, infographics, testimonials, reviews, snippets from speaking engagements, user generated content, behind the scenes content, like I did yesterday. My BTRC, day in the life, daily operations, team culture, making products and services. People want to see that stuff. Like people want to actually see how the sausage is made. For step by step trainings, tutorials, how-to guides related to your industry or niche, infographics, snippets from speaking engagements where you're covering that. For promoting an offer, um, um, types are my full shorts, micro shorts, and then also contests. And then for content, client interviews, my unscripted interviews with John Guyton, scripted interviews, client coaching sessions, Amplify audits. So this is me actually taking my content and dropping it in and saying, where does it fit in this structure? For foundational brand stories, company values, vision and mission, brand origin story. For market research or information gathering, polls, quizzes, Q&A sessions, contests. For educate my audience structure, news articles, blog posts, industry news, infographics, industry statistics, snippets from masterclasses, snippets from speaking engagements. For rants and insights, the type is going to be full short or micro short. That's my editing format, and then the content is rants and insights. This needs to be fleshed out more. That's what I got right now. And then for family, I'm more of a private guy, so I had to actually think of like, well, how much do I want to share and what do I want to share on my brand channel about family? And so I haven't filled this in yet. And then for inspiration, stories, quotes, inspirational messages, motivational messages, snippets from speaking engagements. And for family, this could easily be like, dinners out. This could be travel, stuff like that, whatever. Okay, and then last under content format, this is defining the technical feature set that we'll use on a social media platform to make the actual post based on content focus and content type. This is another big piece that I found would be really, really missing from like working with social media managers. They just get in and do the work, but like there's no definition on like a Google sheet somewhere that's a content repository where it's like we used a story for this kind of post. Here's why. Or we used a multi-series reel for this, or we used a collaborator reel, or we used a collaborator post, or we used a carousel or swipe, or we did a live, or we did a short for this or for that. Here's why. And for posts like that, we recommend doing this type of format in the future. This is 100% all of the time missing. And what I found is that when you can give things a framework, when you can make them producible, that's when you can start to tap into explosive results because you know where and why you're doing certain things. And I just hadn't been able to find that. This is my structure. And so this piece right here, this is the place where I found the social media manager needs to step in. All of this above, this is the work for the brand owner to do. And you may need help doing this work. This is not easy work. This has taken me hours to do this work for my business, but this is the deep work. This is the deep thinking to understand who you're trying to talk to, how you're trying to talk to them, what your stories are. And maybe there's social media managers who can help you do that. I just haven't found them. They tend to be really good if you're clear on all this stuff and you can just tell them like, here are the posts, here are the structures, then they're able to say, oh my goodness, I can tell you exactly how, like strategy for how we want to post that stuff, how we want to tell that story. But you kind of need to come with the story. They haven't been as great for identifying that stuff in an organized way, is what I'll say. So I'm going to show you now from Mindset to Money what this looks like in practice. This real structure that I just showed you in theory, what it looks like in practice, and it has opened up so much clarity for me. And I'm still going through the process with my personal brand. So, and I'll show y'all that work in motion too. You'll see where it's the gaps in it so far. So the niche for Mindset to Money is financial education. Okay, that's the niche. The possible content pillars under that, and this is the area where also I got really clear, literally as I was writing this post, that it's not so much like the stuff that I had before. I had things in here like the 6 stages of financial education. I had, financial autonomy versus financial freedom. That's content. That's not the pillar. The pillar is the defining narrative that my content fits in. So I had to go down here to all of the content that I documented inside of this structured content type content focus, and I had to come back up here, and then I replaced my content pillars because I realized these are narratives that hold what my intent is here. And those narratives so far are: I created Mindset to Money for unsophisticated investors like me. Like that is a core narrative for my content. Number two, Mindset to Money really is a non-traditional but common sense approach that is rooted in facts. That is like these are not tactics. This is like the core narrative for my stuff. Don't trust me. Do the math. You don't have to believe me. Do the math on trying to retire and where your money's at, what the traditional marketplace will tell you. Just do the math. I don't need your trust. Number four, here's how and why I know what I know. That's core for me is again, um I'm a pretty regular person. I've got some uncommon access to people who are high net worth because of the amount of work and entrepreneurship and just personal development I've done over many years. I've gotten to be in some rooms with people who have uncommon wealth, and I've gotten the opportunity to have a really deep understanding of how they move and why they move that way, primarily because I ask them what their consideration set is, and over hundreds and hundreds of conversations over many years and watching people's actions, I got a really clear view of what they're up to and like how they're thinking about money, investing, taxes, legacy, all of it. And another core narrative for Mindset to Money is I'm giving you what I wish I would have known 20 years ago. Number five, I believe more is possible for us all inside of community. That's why everything I do is like membership oriented. We just move faster and more effectively when we've got a support mechanism that's bigger than ourselves, so others that are working towards something that is similar with us. And then consistently producing uncommon results requires having uncommon vision and holding uncommon standards. I saw this narrative because I was trying to figure out where do our company values lie? Because we have 10 really clearly defined company values. And I was thinking those don't live in any one of these. What is that? And I realized I hold uncommon standards. Like I create uncommon standards, and those are reflected in our company values, which is why it's important for me to share those with people. But I hadn't articulated this out loud. This right here, consistently producing uncommon results, requires you have a bar that is set high, and people know about it. You don't get to just be in the community acting any kind of way. We are building something. Uncommon standards produce uncommon results, but it requires uncommon vision to actually be willing and able to hold those standards and not deviate. So these are the core content pillars that anything that's being put out for Mindset to Money, it needs to fit into one of these buckets. And if something comes up that doesn't, I'm either going to say, nope, that's not a fit. Or I'm going to say, wait a minute, what is that narrative? Like I did here, because that narrative is a fit, but I haven't actually said it out loud. What is that narrative? And once I say it out loud, Now I can see more content to produce that falls inside of that content pillar. But we need to be able to define, to articulate the thing in order to see more stuff that fits in it. So again, these are the core content types. These don't change. These just give you a place to like, am I writing this? Am I doing this authority content? Am I doing, evidence content? It just gives you what you're doing. Now I'm going to show you, once I put this structure in place, how all of the stuff that's been swirling around in my mind on various Google documents, everything just kind of fell right into place. And I've got AT posts now outlined below for Mindset to Money that are core, that are foundational. None of this is fluff. This is my core stuff. So establishing credibility, I was able to see that the posts that would do that, like, are pretty natural here. Founder origin story. Who am I? And for Mindset to Money, this is just one post. For my personal brand, which is much more about me, it's a multi-series post. It's like 6 because I'm giving much more background because it's my personal brand versus Mindset to Money. I don't need to give my whole story. I give enough context that it makes sense why I'm the person running this company. Number 2, the second post, 2 years in a $50,000 per year investment group, learning from rich people. This is, where does this fit? This fits in an established credibility. Put me at ease post. More establishing credibility is who we serve and how we serve them. That's a post for Mindset to Money that needs to be out to, again, establish credibility. Here's who Mindset to Money is and is not for. That's a post. If you're interested in learning more about membership, here's what to do. You can either complete a financial autonomy quiz, go through our Seeker membership, or hop on a Mindset to Money onboarding call. Establishing credibility. We have a structure for you. There's a way to engage, and here's what it looks like. So those are 5 posts that I immediately saw would live in established credibility. Now, when I moved down to establish authority, and if y'all notice, I'm literally just going right down the list. When I defined here the content type, I'm just literally going right down the list and taking out of my head and off my documents what kind of content goes under each one of these. Under established authority, I immediately saw, okay, this is an area where I would talk about being selected as one of 7 Google entrepreneurs in residence in the country, and I finally got my big shot. And that was back 2015, 2016. I would talk about the fact that I have a software patent, but that didn't translate to any money. Part of the reason why you'll notice this is up here. One of my core things is, listen, I am a regular person just like you. I've had some uncommon opportunities, and that's given me some access, but I'm a very regular person, which is why almost 100% of the time, if you see me share something like this, like I have a software patent, it's not just going to be that. It's probably going to be, something on the other side of that tempers that. But that didn't translate to any money for me. Selected as one of 7 Google entrepreneurs in residence. And it's not just yay for me. It's like, man, I finally got my big shot. That was on the back of years of struggle. But that moment, kind of was a huge validation moment for me because I needed that at that moment. I didn't feel like people knew me or that I was where I needed to be. So I'm going to share some vulnerability with that. Built and lost my first 7 figures by the age of 30. There is some authority in having said that I built a real estate investment firm from 3,000 to multi 7 figures in 18 months. But on the other side of that, yeah, I lost all of it. Really, really regular person who has gone through some stuff. Under edutainment, I found 35 different posts that I can do. What you can expect to learn from Mindset to Money. This is a logical post that needs to be out. The 6 stages of financial development. This is our core content now that I'm finally seeing, like, how and where do I tell these stories about what we do, how we do it. But I've got structure now where I can see where it lands. Financial autonomy versus financial freedom. Replacing earned income with automated income. Throwing away nest egg financial planning. You see here that core narrative from above, the numbers just don't add up. Just do the math. Buy replacement income and accelerate your retirement date. the 12 things to ask about when hiring a contractor. And I've already got these things broken out and detailed. All of this is already written. All these posts, this is all stuff that I've just been documenting. I just didn't have a place, like a place to put it, but it's just my library of content. Close to 300 grand cash invested under 2 years buying assets and businesses. The 13 non-negotiable investment lessons I learned. This is a multi-part series. This is basically a 14-part series. This right here is a 13-part series, with overview being day one and the content one piece at a time being the other days. And this has been a learning for me. Normally, in the past, I would have just shared all this stuff in one post. What I've realized is I go so deep in the areas when I write and when I talk about stuff. Pretty much the majority of stuff that I talk about can be a multi-part series, even if I don't realize it when I'm talking. And so I kind of am leaning toward just about everything that I do now. I stop and I say, is this actually one post or is this a multi-part series? And most of the time it's like, no, this probably should be a multi-part series. And this gives me more content and it's easier for people to consume when it's one deep dive thing at a time. Creating evidence of social proof. This is the prove it structure. And I got case studies for days, y'all. Case studies for days about people who I've helped to make thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. I just don't tell any of these stories. And so having a structure for me to think through, how do I tell these stories? What's the context? This is really useful for me. Step-by-step trainings to show me my 10-step launch in a day format for course creators who want to get their stuff out. My 5-step financial autonomy framework. It's core structure for Mindsets of Money. We haven't done any public like posting or training about that. Promoting an offer. It's the invite me. And so one of those would be completing the financial autonomy quiz. This will be a post where we talk in more detail about what the financial autonomy quiz is and, and what you can expect if you do it. Attending a Mindsets of Money onboarding call. I've never done a post that clearly explains what the Mindsets of Money onboarding call is and what we cover and why it's a great call. Applying for a seeker membership. You got this 14-day seeker membership that's free, like showing the entire experience of what happens when you sign up for a seeker membership, what you get access to. We've never done this post. Masterclasses. We've got multiple masterclasses that we have defined promotional content for that we don't do a good job of getting this stuff out and actually just sharing with people, like one post at a time. Here's a masterclass you can attend at any time. These are all evergreen. These are all available at any given time. But I've not had any social media manager take all of this stuff and be able to, in an organized, meticulous way, lay out a content plan that actually takes into consideration all of this stuff inside of the backdrop of goals of the brand and say, out of all of this, we're going to get it all posted this month. Here's the content schedule and here's why. There's never been any rhyme or reason. They just go into the repository and they're posting whatever they're posting. But what I've seen now is like, it's going to be up to me to actually get all of this documented, which I finally have, and tell them, hey, here's the order that I want stuff posted in. Now that you know what we're going to post, tell me what's the best way to post this strategically. But here are the stories. Here's the order. And under foundational brand stories that connect with me, the origin story of Mindsets of Money, and also the Mindsets of Money company values. Each one of these deserves its own full post. And by post, this could be like a 60-second, it's a 60-second overview. A lot of the majority of content that I'm focused on right now is reels. Like it's short form, 15 to 58 seconds or less, telling my stories. And all of these, I've got videos for all of these, 60-second videos for every single one, and I've not posted any of these. This is fantastic content. So when I look at all of this stuff now, what's left is the content format. This is where the social media manager comes in, and I can give them all of this now and say, okay, now you go and you figure out how to tell all of these stories, but here's the content and here's the order of it and here's the context of it. Go. This is where the social media manager comes in, this last piece. And getting clarity on that has been amazing for me. So this is all recent work for Mindsets of Money, but you can see there's a clearly defined focus. And this is just the beginning. This is 80 posts. This is the snapshot, the highest level snapshot. There's so much more content that we can now produce inside of this format now that it's clearly defined. And I'm going to show y'all from a personal brand with the course launch stuff that I do. It's defined in some areas and not as defined in others. So as you can see, the core niche here is selling expertise online, and it took me a minute to actually get clear on how to language that. Even though like this is what I do, I wasn't quite sure how to language it. And you'll see here that I had all of these different things that I was. Is it selling knowledge online? Is it turning expertise into passive and automated income online? That's a little bit too wordy. Is it turning expertise into online residual income? That's part of what I do. It's a core narrative in my sales process. But is that the niche? It's not the niche. Monetizing your expertise online. That didn't feel right. That felt more like I don't know. It didn't feel like it captured quite what I wanted. Generating passive income online from expertise. All of these were in the ballpark, but it took me a while to actually, and some Google searches to like look around and figure out, no, the niche that I'm in that best languages what I'm doing, at least right now, is selling expertise online. That's my niche for my programs, my course launch stuff. And there's some nuances of that narrative to lean into for my specific and defined customer avatar. And those nuances for me are um, the person who some people will work with anybody who's hey, if you're passionate about something, I can help you to launch a course. There's nothing wrong with that narrative. That's not my narrative. Like I'm not doing the work because it's hard work to be able to promise a predictable result to somebody who just is coming in off the street and they don't necessarily have any clarity that like your understanding of their background and their ability to articulate for themselves or others what they do, why they do it, why they're good at it, what their track record is unknown. That takes a lot of work. It's exhausting. It is exhausting. And I'm not looking to do an exhausting offer for the marketplace. What works for me and who I can, if they come in with certain boxes checked, I can amplify their income. Like no doubt about it. And for those people, I'm looking for seasoned experts who are business professionals and business owners. They are already financially comfortable, making six figures, multiple six figures, or better. One reason why they can cut a check. They already have a defined consulting framework or signature talk. Okay, I don't have to sit and try to help them pull out their unconscious competence and define it on paper. They've done that work. I know how to do that work. Like I know my name, but it's exhausting work. It takes a lot of mental strain to move somebody through that process. And it's slow and it requires one-to-one or one-to-group work. And I'm looking for automated offers that I can move people through and not have to do all that work because they come with certain pieces already done. Already they're known locally, regionally, nationally, or internationally as an expert in their industry or vertical. They already have a defined warm audience of contacts uh, who who contact them inbound to hire them for their expertise as a coach, speaker, trainer, or consultant. They're already known. They're already you know people contacting them, but it's offline. It's offline. So they're nervous about how they can put together a program that doesn't require their ongoing time, in fulfillment and still have it be impactful and not full of fluff. These people are not concerned with just making more money. They're not in hustle mode. They long past that. These people are enjoying life. They're comfortable. They still have ambition. They still have their legacy and their knowledge they want to get out, but they're not getting ready to sacrifice their time, and they're certainly not getting ready to sacrifice their identity. They have worked too hard to be putting out some janky stuff, and they've seen people put out janky stuff, and they're afraid that without knowing how to do it, they probably will. It'll be half done. take up too much time and energy. Maybe it won't produce the result. They're not getting ready to take that chance without knowing for sure. Automated fulfillment. They haven't articulated it clearly for themselves. But the scenario that they want probably requires less than 2 hours per week of their time to ongoingly manage fulfillment related issues for it to be something they enjoy. They don't know that, but I know that about them because I am them and I've worked with them. It needs to be sold at a premium. They want their stuff to be selling four figures or more, but they probably don't know that. They can just sense that they don't want to be out here selling $97, whatevers. But they don't know how to do it. And even if they realize that they want it, there's no context for a system or a scenario that would allow them to do this seamlessly. So unconsciously, it becomes a thing that they really don't believe it could happen with low overhead. They're not looking to start a whole new thing. It's going to take up a lot of time, a lot of money. Is there something $500,000 a month to maintain a system that can easily make them 10x that on autopilot? That's the kind of thing that has them say, yeah, perfect. That's what I want. Doesn't require ads, doesn't require, sales teams. They don't want a whole other business that they got to run. They want to have their expertise create income without all the overhead. And again, without creating a job for themselves, they haven't articulated it. But they do not want to have to take sales calls in order for their program to sell. And they don't want to have to figure out any tech stuff. These aren't things that they've said out loud, but they're things that are happening in their unconscious mind. And when I say them out loud for them, they're like, man, I didn't even know. Yes, I want that. It's exactly what I need. So you're giving voice, you're giving language to all this stuff. And it creates more time for them, not take time from them. It takes very few hours per week of maintenance in order for the system to add personal brand lift on their existing consulting and coaching business, which they don't really consider. Like, man, this adds more clients when my social media is popping from my course and stuff, and creates passive income for them. So that is my person in great, great detail for who I sell to now. This isn't somebody who I'd hope to sell to one day. These are the people I work with now. And I've just done a very clear job over time of getting like line item specific about who my ideal person is and why, and not selling to people who are not. It's better for them and it's better for me. And then I can create my offers specifically for them, and all of my language and my marketing can be specifically for that person and nobody else. Now you can see where my content pillars right now are weak for this. I've got to go back and do work because I just now realized doing my mindset to money, like it's not actual content. These should be the narratives. These have to be the narratives. This stuff right here that I've outlined, this goes down under like my content focus. This is the actual content stuff, which I've done a good job outlining. I've got a lot of content that's ready to go for this. But what I'm missing here is my actual narratives that are the core narratives for this aspect of my company, that each one of these would literally, when I go back and look at it, they fall into. And so those narratives, I don't have those written down. I've got to sit and I've got to think, what's the commonality between all of these different things that I write about? The expert trap, trading hours for dollars, turning expertise into passive and automated income online, 5 to 6 figure warm network program launches to your existing audience, my copy paste sale expert framework for audience building, list building, warm network campaigns, marketing and sales automation, expert readiness, helping people see, where do I start? How do I start? How do I know I'm ready? Do I have a niche people will pay for? Behind the red curtain. There is some connecting element to all of these. There's some narrative that is core in what I'm talking about and why I'm talking about it, that is the tie that binds. I haven't articulated what those narratives are. And once I articulate it, it's going to be clear. Oh, that's where turning expertise into income fit. Like it fits in that narrative. It fits in the narrative of, man, I was just like you. I wished somebody could show me how, like, I don't know what the narrative is and I ain't sat with it, but that's the work that I need to do next. And once I have those narratives, all of the rest of the content that I've got sitting on Google Docs in different places is going to pour out of me, and I'll see exactly where to put it inside of this structure right here inside of the um, inside of these content types. Once I have these narratives defined for my online education programs, for that selling expertise online niche, once I have these narratives defined for that, then all of the content that is I've started writing in this structure. You see, I already have started writing the content focus. It's stuff for my selling expertise online, but I'm missing the categorization of it into these categories because I'm missing the core narratives. So that was a lot. That was pretty much a full masterclass that I just gave on my structure that I'm using for social media brand narratives. Let me stop for a second. So as I was saying, that was basically a full masterclass that I just gave y'all on my structure for social media brand narratives. And, that is a work in progress. It is something that's evolving. It is something that has a life of its own. But I can tell you for a fact that that structure you just saw is beginning to, even just like the initial insights that I had on it, is beginning to create virality around my posts on social media. And it definitely has finally given me a structure to be able to take all of these things that I know across all these different categories and start to see a form for it online that is something I can stick to, that's going to be consistent, but also that I can finally bring in help that actually helps me and doesn't just end up, having things be convoluted and messy. It's very exciting to be able to see where I can get my core workout. It's my life's work every day that I do. I am doing things because that I do because I want to be able to impact people and get the things that are in me out of me to help people. And it's really frustrating when you got to get this stuff out, but you're missing the frame. You're missing the frame to be able to do it consistently without the rest of your life collapsing because it takes too much time or energy or whatever. And this is my structure. So I hope that was beneficial for y'all. And if it was, drop me a comment, a response. Just let me know that this stuff is making a difference. All right, y'all. Amplify Daily.